Drew Dober versus Nasrat Haqparast takes place on the prelims of UFC 246 McGregor versus Cerrone this weekend. This is the story we see repeated time and time again in the MMA world of the young, hungry up-and-comer taking on the old, wily veteran of the UFC. Only one can survive. I give you your young, hungry up-and-comer, Nasrat Haqparast, 24 years of age, 11-2, 9 wins by KO, the rest by decision, okay? Very elite fighter here on our hands with Nasrat Haqparast, improving every single time we see him go out there, rapidly, and we saw that in his last performance against Joaquim Silva, currently on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC, after losing his UFC debut to Marcin Held, which I believe was on short notice, if I'm remembering correctly. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that fight was on reasonably short notice. Mark Jacasey, Thibaut Gulti, Joaquim Silva, he's beat 3 of them in a row. Those are decent opponents to beat. On the other hand, you've got Drew Dober, although only 31 years old, a veteran of the UFC, started his career in 2013, has fought some recognisable names, including Scott Holtzman, Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who he lost to, Frank Camacho, who he defeated, Beneil Dariush, who he lost to. He's fought the who's who around the lightweight division, and recently he's come back with a big win over Marco Polo Reyes in the first round by TKO. And we haven't seen a big KO win for Drew Dober, or a big finish win for Drew Dober since 2017 when he beat Joshua Burkman. I think right now, it's a reignition for his career. Is Marco Polo Reyes the best fighter in the world? No. But the fact that Drew Dober went out there and made it look easy is a really good thing. And he could really reignite his career with a big win over Nasrat Haqparast. However, Nasrat Haqparast is an absolute savage. And I'm going to tell you guys this guy's story. Says he's from Germany. We know he's not from Germany. Okay? No matter what anything says on his Sherdog or his Tapology, we know he's not from Germany. And that's a fact. He's definitely not from Germany. So the only reasonable story that I can think of is this. And this is true, because I thought of it, okay? Mr. and Mrs. Gastelum were on a flight to Eastern Europe, okay? They're having a trip to Poland, and things got kind of hectic, and Mrs. Gastelum was somewhat 9 months pregnant, due to go into labour at any moment. They find out that her water breaks in Poland, and they say, Jesus Christ, we got to get back to Mexico and have this baby right now. They get on the plane. Mrs. Gastelum is in her seat. Something doesn't feel right, okay? And Kelvin's in a seat not too far away from him, eating fucking a bunch of shit because he can't make welterweight anymore. Either way, Mrs. Gastelum senses something's not right in her stomach. And this baby's coming out on the flight. Does she cause a scene with the stewardesses? Does she make everyone panic on the plane? No. She handles her work like a professional. Goes into the aeroplane toilet, shits out Nasrat Haqparast, and he lands in Germany like he's German. Like he's German. Having no idea that he has been related to Kelvin Gastelum this entire time, and is in fact blood brothers with Kelvin Gastelum. Proven by Kelvin Gastelum. If you look at the UFC page right now on Instagram, Kelvin Gastelum commented on the photo saying, my brother from another mother and father. Where we know the real story, and it came out of the MMA guru's mouth right now. You heard it here first. Breaking news. They've been related this entire time. Nasrat Haqparast, all jokes aside, is a dangerous man. A very dangerous man. The win over Joaquim Silva really made people pay attention, because as much as you're beating decent guys like Mark Jacasey, they're decent wins, don't get me wrong, but when you're winning by decision, it's hard for people to get behind you. No matter who you're beating. If you're winning by decision and it isn't a war, or it isn't like a fight of the year contender like Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum, people aren't going to take notice of a decision. Okay? He beats Joaquim Silva, puts himself on the map with a brutal KO in the second round. Phenomenal performance. Every single time we see this guy, he's better and better and better. However, is he going to be able to beat the wily veteran in Drew Dober, who arguably is the best guy he's fought so far? I know Joaquim Silva is a decent opponent, but remember, Joaquim Silva has lost to Vince Pichel, who's a decent lightweight, don't get me wrong, but not the best in the world. You know, Joaquim Silva's a good win for Nasrat Haqparast, but I feel like this win over Drew Dober, if he can get it, which I think he will, I'm going to bet on Nasrat Haqparast securing a dominant decision here. Is he going to be able to beat a guy like Drew Dober, which will propel him into the region of, I want a ranked opponent next, okay? Because you beat a guy like Drew Dober who's floating outside the rankings. You're carrying a 4-fight win streak at that point. You're then going to start calling out ranked opponents. And I feel like Nasrat Haqparast, as a young fighter who's improving every single time we see him go out there, is going to put on a statement and a dominant performance against Drew Dober. I don't see him finishing Drew Dober. I don't see him having the submission ability. He doesn't have a single submission in his career. And there's a problem with Drew Dober, is that sometimes he gets careless and caught in submissions. I mean, he's been caught in 3 submissions during his career. Only once has he been finished by TKO. I don't see Nasrat Haqparast KOing him. I actually see more of a chance that Drew Dober KOs Nasrat Haqparast more than anything. I think this is a really live underdog that a lot of people are going to be paying some attention to. However, I still think that Nasrat Haqparast is going to win. And I think if he does win this fight, shit just got fucking interesting at lightweight, because there are some lightweights right now that are looking for an opponent. And if Nasrat Haqparast can make the most of his mic time after the fight and get a decent call out in there somewhere and ruffle some feathers just outside the lightweight top 10, there's some prime contenders in the 10 to 15 range at lightweight that are waiting for opponents that need them right now. Alexander Hernandez is one of them. Gregor Gillespie would be another one of them, even though he's coming off a loss. There's a lot going on right now, okay? And I feel like Alexander Hernandez at number 14, an equally young guy, if Nasrat Haqparast can win and call out a fight against Alexander Hernandez, that fight would be made. Because Alexander Hernandez, I know he's coming off a win. It was a very close win. He's not coming off a dominant performance. He still needs to rally the team behind him after his loss to Donald Cerrone, because that Francisco Trinaldo fight, I know he tore his shoulder out of place during the fight, and for that, I give him all the credit in the world for beating a guy like Francisco Trinaldo. It was a very close fight. It was a very boring fight, and it could have gone either way. Okay? A lot of people thought it went to Francisco Trinaldo. I don't mind who it went to. I still think that Alexander Hernandez is in need right now of a big win, and I think if Nasrat Haqparast can get past Drew Dober and call out Alexander Hernandez, we got some fun times on our hands. And I think Alexander Hernandez would welcome that challenge. Very much so. But Drew Dober's dangerous, man. Very dangerous. Got knockout power, got submission ability, can go the distance as well. He's done it all. I mean, how many fights in the UFC has he had right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 fights in the fucking UFC at 31 years of age. Jesus, that is experience. That is wonderful levels of experience for Drew Dober, and I'm sure he's going to try and draw on some of that, which, to be honest with you, kind of counters my point about Nasrat beating him by decision. It's hard to beat a veteran by decision. They know how to play the points game. They know how to play the little tricks that are going to extend the time, and if they're ahead, they know how to stay safe, and if they're behind, they know what sacrifices they need to make. I still think that Nasrat Haqparast is going to win, and that should tell you something about how good Nasrat Haqparast is. He has a reach advantage, he has a height, I won't say advantage, but because it comes with the reach advantage, I will bundle them together as a range advantage. I'm sure we can agree. And he's improving every time we see him. I'm going with Nasrat Haqparast, and if Drew Dober loses, listen, stay in the UFC. Drew Dober is a fun fighter. I love watching Drew Dober fight. I really love watching Drew Dober fight. And I will continue to watch Drew Dober fight. So if he loses, no hard feelings. Just face a guy coming off a loss in the lightweight division. Stick around. You make things fun. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Team Gastelum. Team Gastelum, baby. Let's go. See you later.